We're just passing here on our right the local garden centre, which has a hydroponic system for producing lettuces and tomatoes and peppers, but still there is a shortage. We've got no fruit that grows here in the islands, so it all has to be imported at quite a cost. But other than that, we have access to pretty much anything else. And though some people might go to the supermarket and be a bit horrified by the prices, it is at least available, and that is the main thing. The town of Stanley has pretty much doubled, or more than doubled, in the last 15 to 20 years. This whole piece we're going through now is actually, well, this was all country about 10, 12 years ago. So there's been a large-scale development, which is the sign of an economy which has drastically changed over the course, well, since 1982, and but more importantly since 1987, when we had a Falkland Island Conservation and Management Zone was declared 150 miles around the islands. This happened in 1987 and was the point at which we could start selling fishing licenses to all the international trawlers that had been coming and fishing 3 miles off our coastline. They were now regulated and had to pay us some license fees, and it's had a big impact. Before that, the Falklands was very largely an agricultural society, mainly sheep, wool, some philately, and famously there were about 200 sheep per head of population in the Falklands, or more. The result of this new industry, the fishing industry, was really that there's been quite a shift from the focus in camp, which is what we call anything outside of Stanley, the countryside if you like, from the camp into Stanley. And whereas previously the Falklands was largely made up of really large farms. The farm that I grew up on was 250,000 acres and had 55,000 sheep. 1,000 miles of coastline, my father used to say. But those large farms, largely owned by overseas landlords, were pretty much sold off during the 70s and especially in the 80s, and were bought smaller sections by local people. That's dramatically also changed the progress of agriculture, and now farmers are producing pretty much as much meat as they are wool, and have expanded into cattle and pigs. Going down the main front road now, this is Ross Road, after James Clark Ross, one of the Antarctic explorers. This was pretty much the farthest reaches of Stanley up until about 15 years ago. We'll shortly be passing on the left is the local cemetery. We don't have any cremation facilities in the Falklands, and in fact we're running out of room in the cemetery, and I don't know that anyone's really been talking about what we're going to do once this little plot is finished. I used to take my children sledging there, but that won't be happening anymore. There's also the Cross of Sacrifice coming up on the left. Remembrance Day service is held there every 11th of November. We usually have a lot of visiting veterans from the Falkland Islands conflict, both British and Argentines tend to come for that. The Falklands are a British overseas territory. This means that we are a self-governing territory, but we have a very strong and close relationship with Britain. We are economically independent. We don't rely on any income from the British government. We have our own government and our own set of laws, our own currency, and our own immigration policies and the like. We're just passing on the left. We're going to be passing the offices of the Falkland Island Company. The Falkland Island Company was set up in the 1850s and really became the monopoly of the Falklands for many, many years, up until the 1990s. It was involved in everything. It used to own something like 60% of the farming land in the Falklands, and was heavily involved in retail and wholesale and shipping. It still does do a lot of those things. It's sold off all its farms, and it really concentrates a lot more on oil development now than on anything else. We're just coming to the Jetty Visitor Centre where we're going to end up, but if anyone wanted to get off here, then this is the place.